What's up, guys? My name is Xavier Gusset. I'm on call to Huddle here with Appalachian State receiver Corey Sutton, head of the NFL Draft. How you doing, Corey?
Doing real good. We had a good workout today. Just got done with yoga, so I'm starting to chill a little bit. Probably gonna cut the combine on in a minute.
Yeah, nice. I've been watching that a little bit today too. So I want to start off with a few quick questions to get my fans to get to know you as a person. So are you ready for that?
Oh yeah, for sure.
All right, first one I want to hear: Jordan or LeBron?
I don't even watch basketball like that, but I like both of them. Jordan got a house in Charlotte, so I seen him around. But LeBron a great athlete too, so both of them guys great.
All right, Drake or Kanye for the next one?
Drake.
Drake. Okay, one word answers. I like it. Xbox or PlayStation for Corey Sutton?
Oh, Xbox all day. I got my first Xbox 360 when I was in like third grade, and I've been rocking with them ever since.
Okay. All right. I like that. How about Travis Scott or Future?
Future for sure.
Okay. All right. So I don't know. It's close for me. They're both all like the same. But here, I want to start getting into the receiver ones real quick. Jerry Rice or Randy Moss?
Ooh, man.
These are hard questions.
That's a hard one because obviously, most of the receivers that, I grew up around, they consider Jerry Rice, the GOAT, you know what I mean? But when it comes to Randy Moss, that's a whole different breed when it comes
his
to
big time ability, yeah.
And I played with his son Thad Moss at Mallard Creek, and I grew up with him, and we trained at the same spot, so I've seen Randy around a lot. I grew up with him since I was little.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, they're both honestly probably the top two go-to receiver for me. I got to give the edge to Jerry. I think he's all around better.
Yeah.
How about Calvin Johnson or T.O.?
Ooh, that's another hard one. Yeah, you match these up real good. But I'll say, dang, that's another hard one too, man. But I got
both different eras too.
I got a lot of respect for both of those guys. I used to watch both of them coming up, and those are definitely two guys that I used to model my game after a little bit. So. Yeah, that's a tight one. I couldn't pick one on that one.
Okay. All right. If you could pick a position to play other than receiver, what would you pick, and tell me why?
Maybe like probably corner, just because that'll probably be real good, for my size, and I have fun. I played DB a little bit in high school, either DB or quarterback.
Okay, I could see that. So I want to first off start about your career a little bit. Tell me, if you're talking to someone who's never watched Corey Sutton before, tell me what game would you, show them to show you what your game's about. I know you had the Marshall game this year and a couple other big games that were really big. Tell me what game would you say?
Yeah, maybe like a Coastal this past year, just because it was a bigger game this year, and it was just a fun atmosphere to play in. It was a night game, and we played really good on offense and defense, and we kind of started clicking, and it was a battle back and forth. Maybe that Coastal game, just because a lot of clutch plays in there.
That was a good game too. Here, I got the stats up. You had 113 yards, 6 catches, and a touchdown in that game. That was a big game for you too.
Yeah.
Second off, I want to go in a little bit. You're a big guy. Tell me, what's your thought process when corners come up and press you first off?
Yeah, so I've always took a lot of pride in my releases, and then also being physical. So, I worked a lot on my releases in the year that I sat out, and even throughout the season, getting back into it. I had to work on them throughout the season, just getting back into that competition. So, I take a lot of pride in my footwork and stuff like that. So when a guy comes up and presses me, I usually kind of think about my route and what release I'm going to use on him, and just make sure I get physical also.
Okay, when someone gets physical like that, do you get chirpy at all or talk trash a little bit at all?
It depends on the DB most of the time.
Okay.
Sometimes, the guy just, a lot of guys, in the Sun Belt and stuff knew who I was, so they weren't really, chirping too much at me. If he let me do my work and go about my business, I'll do that all day. But,
gamers like game.
Yeah, it was a couple games, though, a couple guys try to get a little bit physical, in the run game and in the pass game. But I like that, though. I like to have fun and battle out there.
Yeah. Okay, so I'm sure this has kind of been a whole crazy offseason for you. Tell me, what's the excitement of the draft process been like for you, and has it really hit you yet?
Yeah, I could say yes and no, just because, when you kind of think about it, it can make you, be a little, just thinking too much, because you always compare it to high school. You can have offers in high school, but going into the NFL, you you don't really know what team's going to get you. You know what I mean? You can sign in high school to a college, but in NFL, you know, you don't know who's going to get you. So when you start kind of thinking about that, you can worry a little bit. But, you know, for me, I just been focused on training and just handle what I can handle, because right now, you know, the season's over. So it's just getting ready for you know, pro day and stuff like that.
Okay. We hit on, you know, the TO and all the other guys that you look at earlier. Tell me, is there any other, like, guys that you kind of looked at growing up as a receiver and guys that you looked forward to in the NFL?
Yeah, I looked at, you know, younger growing up before I knew a lot about football. You know, I looked at Calvin Johnson and stuff like that. But nowadays, I look more at like Devontae Adams and Calvin Ridley and stuff like that. Try to take stuff away from those guys. Like take Devontae's releases and Calvin Ridley with his knee drive and the way he gets in and out of routes.
That's definitely a big thing I'd say for you. I mean, you're a bigger guy, so being able to like look at guys, smaller guys like that with the footwork and stuff, it must be kind of crazy.
Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah, I try to model my game after a few guys, take bits and pieces, you know, from guys across the league.
All right. I gotta ask. I know you wear number 2. Tell me why. Is there a reason for that at all?
So when I wore number 12 my whole life, you know, playing baseball growing up, and even in football, I wore number 12. I wore 12 at Kansas State also. And when I came to App, Zach Thomas had 12, and I wanted, you know, I asked if we could trade, and you know, we talked about it a little bit, and then I 2 opened up because Ike Lewis left, and then so I ended up just going with 2. I never wore it before. So it was a new number. It didn't really feel like, you know what I mean? Like, it wasn't really like my number growing up or anything. But, you know, I definitely made a name for it, I feel like, at App.
Yeah, the deuce looks good. Definitely.
Yeah, that'll be in my number for sure.
All right. So I do want to hit on, you know, what was it, 2018 when you had that knee injury?
2019.
2019?
Yeah.
Tell me, you know, what's your level of comfortability, you know, playing on it after this past year, after sitting out 2020 season and it happened in 2019? What's your level of comfortability after this past year?
I mean, it's 100% back to you know, where it was, and actually I feel like it's a little bit better. You know, I feel like I'm cutting on it really good, and that's why I ended up sitting out 2020, is because I didn't feel like it was 100% back to where it was. But I ended up getting it back to where I feel like I needed to, and so I mean, it feels like it never happened.
Gotcha. Was there a point at all during the last off season or this year even that you realized, you know, it came back?
I mean, yeah, I mean, you know, when you got an injury like that, it's never, you know, just an overnight thing. You know, you're building it up from the bottom. So, I mean, as I kept on progressing, that's why I was trying to play in 2020. But then as time kept on going, you know, I realized I wasn't at 100% as I wanted to be. So I took that year off, and then I started feeling really good around spring ball 2021.
Okay, definitely. I think you can see that early on in the first couple games you played this year too.
Yeah.
Tell me, you know, you went to the NFLPA Bowl, what was it, like a month ago? Or 2 months ago, I think, at this point, actually. Tell me, what was that like, and did you gain anything during that whole experience?
Oh, yeah, I gained a lot of experience, you know, out there, and I got to get around a lot of good coaches, you know, a lot of good other players. So it was a great experience, you know, getting to talk to teams, telling my story and stuff like that. So it was a real good experience.
Gotcha. Where you know, what were the things that scouts and coaches were kind of saying about you and your game, you know, coming back?
I mean, you know, they liked a lot of the film and stuff. They said that they thought I had, you know, good hands, good releases, physical, you know, all those type of things. You know, it was a lot more positives and negatives. It wasn't really much negatives when I was out there, and I feel like I had a better day of practice every day as I kept on building.
Yeah. No, I mean, I know watching your game, you're definitely an all-around receiver. For a guy as big as you are, you can definitely, you know, do stuff over the middle, and you get great route runner and all of that. You do everything great. So I can definitely say, too, that you don't got a lot of negatives in your game. I always love to ask, tell me, who's the best player you've been able to play with or against, you know, during your time in your career?
Man, that's a hard question. You asked me a couple hard ones, but man, the best player. We had so many great players come through App in the past few years. You know, we've had guys go second, third, fourth, fifth round. We've had a lot of undrafted guys turn out to be great, great investments, and you know, we got a lot of guys still playing in the league right now. So I mean, I've been around so many great athletes, and I mean, even coming through Charlotte, playing on 7-on-7. You know, the guys I played.
Yeah.
It was great competition. So there's so many guys that a lot of people don't even realize maybe where they're from. But you know, a lot of the guys we've all played together our whole life, so
Yeah.
it's way too many guys to even name. Like I said, growing up with guys like Randy Moss and stuff like that, it's been so many just different great athletes around this area.
Okay. Tell me, guys you played against, cornerbacks or defensive guys that you guys have to, study in the film room all week. Was there a guy that stood out to you that was like crazy good?
I mean, there's definitely a couple of guys that are better. You know what I mean? Like there's some guys, there's like average, below average, above average, and then guys that I think look like they're league ready. And I mean, every guy that I feel like that I watched on film or played against that I thought was league ready, they ended up going to the league and being successful. So, every guy that I feel like I've ever went against and was like, oh yeah, he was, he was the real deal. They still playing in the league right now. Most of them starting. So it's definitely been a lot of good comp.
Okay. So we did go over about how big you are as a receiver. Tell me your one-on-one game. What kind of advantage does that give you being so good at one-on-one, when it comes to double moves or hitting slants and stuff with guys? What kind of advantage does that give you running routes and everything?
Which part, being physical or just my overall game
You're being physical and being a great one-on-one receiver. What kind of advantage does that
Yeah,
give you?
I just, I took a lot of pride in just working on my technique over the years from high school. So when I get out there, I just try to, work my technique the whole off season. And so by the time I get in the game, I can just, use the moves I've been practicing and, just doing full speed in the game.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you do make a lot of crazy like toe tap catches. You're great with your feet. Obviously you were saying. Is that something that you've always practiced or has been natural for you your whole life?
I mean, I practice toe taps a little bit, but not as much as maybe a couple of them that I had in the game. I had a few couple good ones throughout my career. So, it ended up being, like a little tag on me. A lot of guys started thinking, I was the guy that was doing the toe taps, because I just had a lot of good catches, but I didn't practice it maybe as much as it maybe, you would think. Not the toe tap particularly, but I always caught a lot of balls and I was very aware of my body position and stuff like that.
Yeah, no, you definitely had a bunch of crazy spectacular catches, over this season even. You're good at keeping your feet in balance when, the rest of your body isn't. It's a great thing. Tell me, going back to the injury, is what would you say is the biggest part of your game you've been able to improve since the injury in 2018?
Just becoming more of a coach on the field, like just being able to recognize defenses, studying film more. I've always been a guy that watched a lot of film, but, just watching the DBs I'm about to go against just to see, what moves I'm going to use on them and just the game plan that we're going to go with as an offense, attacking what type of defenses they like to run. So more, I would say it would be more as a, off the field type of thing, because I feel like, building from 2018 to 2019, I felt like I was pretty much, right kind of to the top of my game where I felt like I needed to be to go to the next level. So once I got back to that level, it was just, taking my mental game to the next level.
Okay. Talk about your pro day a little bit. What day is your pro day?
March 31st.
31st.
So last day of the month.
Is there a number you're planning or expect to run when it comes to your 40, or are you going to even run your 40 at your pro day?
Oh, yeah, I'm going to run it for sure. I've been working, so it's going to be a good surprise, I think.
Okay. Now, I saw your trainer has posted a couple speed things that you've been doing, too, a lot of speed training you've been doing. Has that, helped a lot this past off season mostly?
Yeah, it's definitely helped. I've been working on a lot of speed, especially coming back from the hamstring. And when I sat out in 2020, I went down to Tampa and was training with Yo Murphy for a while. So I've always been kind of working on speed, I guess you could say, just coming back from the injury. So that kind of hasn't stopped. And then now it's just built in, getting ready for the 40, learning a little bit more technique and stuff like that.
Okay. Is there something other than the 40 particularly that you want to show scouts and show coaches your game about when it comes to the pro day?
Yeah, I mean everything. I want them to just see, my overall what I'm bringing to the table. My overall size. How I get in and out of my breaks. The shuttle, things like that, broad jump, vertical, all of it. I think is gonna look good. I had wrist surgery. I have wrist surgery.
Yeah.
So we got to see what the bench is looking like. But I just started benching a couple weeks ago, so I'm getting that back up. But that's usually my best thing. You know, I usually hit 20 plus. You know, throughout my whole career before the injury.
Yeah. So I know, like, watching your game a lot, you're a dominant outside receiver. Tell me, what do you work on when it comes to the route tree? Is there certain things you work on more so than others, or when it comes to that?
I mean, it just depends on where I feel like where I'm lacking, So if, I'm running a stop route and it's just not really feeling right, I'll just rep it for that day or for a few days until I feel comfortable with it. Same thing with an out route, same thing with anything. So
Yeah.
I'm always trying to fine tune my game because, this is, it's my job at this point. So, I mean, it's all I'm doing. So whenever I record, pretty much everything I'm doing. So when I see something on video that doesn't look right, I try to fix that within the next day or two.
Okay. How do you feel playing inside, playing the slot? Is that
Yeah.
something that you've been able to do a lot over your career?
Yeah, I played a lot in the slot in 2018. I feel like that was I had 10 touchdowns that year, and most of them was from the slot. And we had a lot of different offensive coordinators. We had about I played with a different offensive coordinator every year that I've been playing since sophomore year of high school. But even at App, we've had 3 or 4 different offensive coordinators. So they've been moving me around a lot, and they did different things with me. But 2018 was probably my most in the slot. But I love playing the slot though because I feel like you can kind of move around, get different matchups and
Yeah.
stuff. So, yeah.
Okay, especially for you over the middle as a bigger guy, like we've been saying, like it's definitely got to be big for you.
Yeah.
Tell me, obviously you're a great athlete. If you weren't playing football right now, is there another sport you'd be playing or something else you'd be doing?
I'll be playing baseball just because that's what I played growing up my whole life. I was a pitcher in outfield. So, yeah, that's probably what I'll be playing.
All right, all right. I want to ask a couple more here before we start to wrap it up. In your opinion, tell me what are some of the bigger things you need to work on going into the NFL?
Just making sure, when it comes to that next level and, speed in the game, the windows are a lot smaller. So, like I said, we're bringing that mental part to the game, just making sure that I'm taking advantage of all the little things, watching myself and having, an honest self-assessment on what my film is looking like and also studying the DBs I'm going against. So anything that can give me that extra little inch to get open, that's what I need to take advantage of.
Okay, you talk about like the mental in the film game. Was there a certain point in your career where you started to see things better on film or differently?
Yeah, I mean, it grew a lot over time. And obviously when I got into Kansas State, I had a really good coach with Andre Coleman. And he was kind of the first one that really, really started breaking down film, on the next level for me. So, we started watching film on that level. He kind of taught me how to watch film a little bit. So after my freshman year, I've always watched film like really detailed with matchups, everything like that, even practice.
Gotcha. So tell me, did you have a favorite NFL team growing up, Corey?
Growing up, I used to like the Bears just because my dad played for them for a little bit. But when they traded Devin Hester and Brian, and who they traded? Devin Hester and I don't think they traded Urlacher because he retired. Maybe it
No,
was
Urlacher retired.
Forte or something like that. When they
Oh yeah, they did trade Matt Forte.
yeah, I was like, I'm done with it. It was like after they went to the Super Bowl and lost, I was like, I can't even anymore. But I haven't really had a team,
Damn.
and I just like to watch the game really.
Yeah.
I just like to watch App when I was growing up. That was like my main team I used to root for growing up.
Oh really?
Yeah, because my dad played there, so I grew up, going to games my whole life, and I would be close with like a lot of the players from back in those times and 05, 06, 07 when they won a championship. I'll be around there a lot.
Okay. I know you did highlight Calvin Ridley and then Devontae Adams, guys you looked at earlier. The receiver position obviously has changed a lot today, in today's NFL. Tell me a little bit about the movement of the receiver position and what other type of guys you watch and what other things you try to add to your game watching NFL receivers adapt nowadays.
Yeah, so you asking me like how the receiver game has adapted throughout the years, right?
Yeah, just between like versatility. I mean, you see like you were mentioning guys like Devontae can play everywhere, and it's a lot more different, I feel like, than it used to be as a receiver.
Yeah, I mean now, I guess more kind of back in the day a little bit, guys didn't move around as much. I think they kind of called a play And, you know, they kind of lined up to the position to where, you know, Devontae Adams, you know, he's going to get 20 targets a game. They're going to put him in every position. But also, you know, back in the day, it would be, you know, the bigger receiver, you know, was a lot more, they were a lot bigger, you know, like, you know, 220, you don't
Yeah.
see a lot of guys over 210, over 205 right now. You know, 205, 200 is like a bigger receiver now. You know, so a lot of guys, you know, are like faster and shiftier and smaller guys now. So, you know, I try to keep both of those. I try to keep the balance of both. So I feel like it's a good thing that I got a little bit of both for me. You know, I try to be physical,
Yeah.
but, you know, also, you know, have feet and quick moves like a smaller guy as well.
Okay, I mean, even today, you look at guys like Deebo Samuel and the type of trend of receivers with the yak ability. You do have that ability. Tell me, is that something that you kind of practice when looking at those type of guys today?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Like, you know, it's a lot of guys. You know, I watch guys for, you know, all different reasons. When it comes to route running or when it comes to
Yeah,
run after the catch, you know, he's definitely a great guy to watch. Deebo, when it comes to run after the catch, is how he absorbs those hits and, you know, keeps it moving, stays relaxed. So that's definitely something I try to take away.
definitely. All right. I really appreciate you coming on, Corey. It's kind of been a long time in the making, but I
Yeah,
appreciate you making the time.
yeah, I know we both been real busy, so I'm glad we got to talk for a minute.
For sure, for sure. I'll be rooting for you all off season. I know you're one of my favorite receivers in this draft. It's a stacked class.
Oh yeah, it is for sure. I appreciate that though. It was good talking to you.
Sure, I appreciate it, Corey. Thanks, guys, for watching.